Yeah, you're goddamn right. You are goddamn right, whoever you are and whatever you just said. I don't care what it is that you said. I don't care who you are. You're goddamn right about whatever you were saying or thinking, unless it's something bad. Unless it's something sexist, racist, homophobic, or just factually untrue, such as 2 + 2 = 5. If you were thinking that 2 + 2 = 5, disregard what I said. Disregard what I said if you were thinking that 2 + 2 was 5. Yes, welcome to Wax's podcast. That was Patient Zero. Patient Zero with their rendition of the Wax's podcast theme. I must say, the podcast has been out for long enough at this point. Hold on one second. Had to get a little water. I really probably should have the microphone turned up a little bit more. You won't notice that, you listening, because I'm going to have it cranked. But in my headphones right now, it's very soft. What the fuck? What if I put it on this? Let's see what this does. Does this change things at all? It doesn't, does it? Probably hearing a lot of breath, just like Donald Trump the other day at the, whatever it was called, debate. But anyway, that was Patient Zero. The reason I decided to play the Patient Zero theme this week is not only because I found a folder with all the old podcast jingles, but I'm also just feeling super energized. This morning, God, this is going to be a fucking interesting story. The story I'm about to tell is going to be ridiculously interesting. So get your recording device out, because you're going to want to save this one for fucking posterity, folks. This is going to be a really interesting story. The following is a very interesting story. Please be prepared to save it for prosperity. I did not have any coffee creamer at the house this morning. Normally, I've actually, call me what you will. I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. But you know what? I use almond milk in my coffee. Not regular almond milk, sweetened almond milk creamer that I find at the store. It's expensive, but you know what? It's good. It's not like Coffee Mate, where if you put in barely too much, all of a sudden it tastes like melted ice cream. No, it has the right amount of sweetener in it. I like the amount of thickness that it gives to my coffee when I apply it to the cup. When I apply this almond milk creamer, I can't remember the fucking brand name or whatever, but when I apply it to my cup of black coffee, it gives it just the right amount of sweetness and just the right amount of thickness. And guess what, folks? If you use too much, no big whoop. It doesn't fucking destroy it. Like if you use too much of the regular sweetened coffee creamer, like the blue Coffee Mate vanilla. Try using a little bit too much of that. What do you got? You got Kool-Aid. You got coffee-flavored Kool-Aid. Anyway, this morning, I was out. I went to my fridge, and much to my dismay, I walked to my fridge, and to my dismay, I ran out of coffee creamer today. There was no almond milk with sweetener, so I had to go to the S-T-O-R-E, the store. I had to go to Ralph's. And I don't mean that I went to the house of Ralph Macchio, star of The Karate Kid. No, there's a grocery store called Ralph's. For you guys that live on the East Coast, or if you live in a different country other than the United States, Ralph's is one of the most popular brand of supermarket out here in California. I believe it also extends to Arizona. I believe it might even go north as far as Washington State. I don't know. I don't know the geographical boundaries that dictate the fucking kingdom domain, which is Ralph's territory. I have no fucking idea. But I do know that it's my local grocer. So anyway, continuing with the story, I got up this morning and to my dismay, I didn't have any creamer today. I went to Ralph's to get the almond milk, but I didn't have time to wait for the silk. Much like a worm who was knitting a sweater, I needed to get my life together. So luckily, this Ralph's didn't give two fucks, because inside of it had a Starbucks. that was awful. But anyway, the point is, I didn't have any almond milk creamer. And I went to Ralph's in order to get some more. And while I was there, I decided, you know what? How about I'll get the creamer. I'll get the creamer as was previously dictated by the decision-making process within my brain. I'm not going to change anything about that. I'm not going to I'm not going to call an audible in the middle of my grocery store visit and not get the almond milk that I fucking came here for, but I will add something to the list, and that thing will be a cup of Starbucks coffee. And you know what I realized today? And what you can probably realize by the level of excitement I have in this podcast, the coffee that I use at home doesn't have nearly the amount of fucking power that a Starbucks coffee does. It's 10:51 a.m. right now, and I can't even sit down. I had one medium cup of coffee from Starbucks, and I can't sit down, folks. I'm pacing back and forth like a nervous person who just had unprotected sex a couple weeks ago, and the girls, whatever. You make an analogy. I'm like a death row guy about to fucking die. I'm like a person waiting for the results of a stressful type of test, such as a pregnancy test or a scary disease test, whatever you want to call it. I'm pacing back and forth like I'm in a waiting room. And it's because of this Starbucks coffee. This shit is powerful, man. I don't know what they put in there, but I can guarantee you that when 12:30 or 1 rolls around, I'm going to hit that, what do they call it when you come down off coffee? The crash. Crash. It's a bunch of songs I could have referenced with the word crash. A bunch of dated 90s songs that a lot of you wouldn't even fucking recognize. Crash. On the last. That was the Breeders with Cannonball. Or I could have been Crash. Until me again. That was Crash by Dave Matthews. What else has the word crash? Crash. I don't fucking know. It's a weird podcast today. And you know what? You're going to have to deal with it. Maybe I'm hyping you up. Maybe you in your cubicle or car are going to listen to this podcast and say, you know what? I was at an 8, now I'm at a 9. You're in your car. I was at a 9, now I was at a 10. Bam. Rear end the person in front of you. That's right. Remember back in the day in the 80s when if you played your fucking vinyl record backwards, if it was like some heavy metal band, if you played it backwards, they would instruct you to like worship the devil or commit suicide or something like that. That was like the predecessor to school shootings, huh? To the devil giving you messages via heavy metal music if you played the shit backwards. How did you even play it backwards back then? But I'm not gonna go to that length. I'm not gonna do something backwards. Actually, you know what? I am going to. We just have so you know. You thought I was lazy? I'm not. I know how to do things. I went to school for audio engineering. God damn it! I know how to do things. So you'll never know what that message said. You have no idea what that fucking thing I just told you to do was. But what you will know is the results of that. Because that was one of those things where for some reason, just like heavy metal music in the 80s, when you hear something backwards, I guess your brain is hypnotized and instructed to do that shit. And eventually, I guess you'll sleepwalk like a zombie and do whatever I told you to do. I don't know. I don't really understand. Even thinking about it now, for you guys that have no idea what I'm talking about, in the 80s, I think it was like Ozzy Osbourne and Judas Priest and these old metal bands like that. Like, I guess supposedly if you played the music backwards, there'd be messages like, kill your parents and shit like that. And now my question is, does that mean like if you listen to it forward, that backwards message somehow gets into your subconscious and makes you do things? Or does that mean like you actually had to play it backwards and then you just kind of hear it like somebody telling that to you, and then you have to decide for yourself if it's a good idea or not? I don't know. I have no idea. I do know that the dudes who did Columbine were somehow influenced by Marilyn Manson. I don't know. I have no idea why I would bring that up. Such a horrible tragedy. That was a long time ago now. That was the mother. The mother. The mother of all school shootings. Where am I going? It is Thursday, whatever today's date is. Feeling good. Still sober, still haven't drank. Want to drink bad, but but I don't. And I feel pretty good. I will say that been pretty busy. Damn, now that I've told my story about now that I've told the most interesting story that's ever been told about me not having coffee creamer this morning, then going to Ralph's and buying some almond milk coffee creamer, but also opting to get a Starbucks coffee as well. Now that I've told that story, I think the Dos Equis guy, if he's listening, he just quit. He just retired. He said, fuck, I'm the second most interesting man in the world now. A distant second to Wax. If being the most interesting man in the world was a race, this would be like the 1979 or whatever year that was Kentucky Derby, and Wax is secretariat, and I'm just in the back of the pack with all the other shitty horses. That's right, folks. I'm the secretariat of interestingness. Lengths and lengths and lengths ahead. Lengths. That's a really fun word to say. NGTHS is a nice combination of consonants for the old tongue and mouth. I do have some good news. For people that care. People that don't won't. I'm shooting a couple more episodes of my world-famous show. Some of you guys are turning this off right now because I'm fucking crazy, but I'm going to shoot an episode of Chain Reaction today. I think I'm going to keep it going, y'all. I think because the people have spoken, the very small amount of people, but enough. I'm here to serve you. I'm a man of the people, and I do what the people want. And a lot of people want more episodes of Chain Reaction. So you know what? I'm going to fucking give them to you. Me and my boy Yev. Shout out to my boy Yev, Belavsky. Yev, if you hear this, I'm sorry. I have no idea. I think it's Belyovsky. Yev is Russian. And I don't mean Russian from the country. I mean just Russian. He's just a fast-moving person. Nah, he's Russian from the country of Russia. Or is that what even? I don't even know if it's called Russia anymore. If there's probably a more official title for it than that. I have no idea. But we're going to shoot a couple more episodes of Chain Reaction. Maybe do like a short season 3, just a couple episodes. So if you have any ideas for chain restaurants that you would like to see me go review that I haven't already done, we already got some good ones lined up. Lined up like we called ahead of time. I love shooting that show. It's fun to write stupid jokes about chain restaurants and then go sit and eat. Who doesn't like to eat? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you be surprised. But all you got to do is go. There's a, if you just type in top chain restaurants, there's like a very popular list of 100, the 100 most popular chain restaurants in America. And the ones we're doing are all on there. They're all on there. So that's something that's going on in my life. I'm also going to be going on tour November 9th through December 23rd. I need to fucking do a better job of promoting my tour, y'all. Check it out, wax.com.com. There is I need to fill in all the blanks. There's a bunch of dates that aren't listed on there because technology is supposed to make things easier, but it actually makes things harder often. My website is linked to a site called Bands in Town, which lists like every show there is, but except some. So like if Bands in Town doesn't have the show listed, it doesn't go to the website. I guess that I could just fucking somehow add it. I'll figure it out today. By the time you hear this podcast, it should be figured out, and you'll be able to go to wax.com and check out where the tour is going. Going to go on tour with the Palmer Squares and DJ Skits, going all over the United States of America. So hopefully you'll be able to make it to the show. It's going to be fucking fun. It's going to be a fun time, a fun show, and it's just going to be nuts. I'm hoping that people still care. I hope people come. I have no idea if they will. I haven't gone on the road in a long time. Since my last tour, I've put out 2 albums, or I guess technically an album and a mixtape, and I have no idea if I've gained in popularity or waned in popularity. Pretty sure I've waned. The podcast is doing pretty well, though. The popularity of the pod, thank you very much. Thank you. I wish I had one of those fucking buttons where I could make that little round of applause sound, but thank you to everybody listening to this for some strange reason. I don't know why. But the download numbers of Wax's podcast picking up a little steam. Picking up a little steam, y'all. Maybe it's because of the regularity. Maybe it's because of the regularity. Maybe it's because of the interestingness. Maybe it's because of the topics I choose to talk about. I don't know what it is, but the popularity of Wax's podcast is taking a very slight turn for the better. It's a very slight increase as far as the amount of downloads. I just noticed it the other day. I was like, wait a second. Are more people listening to Wax's podcast? Are more listeners turning their dial, their hypothetical FM dial that's not actually a radio? Are there more ears tuning in to the words, to the messages, to the ideas that I put forth in this hour of power? Remember Power Hour? Man, I haven't played a drinking game in a long time. To all you young kids out there, you get to a certain age where you just want to drink. You say, ain't no fucking games. Ain't no games involved. You just want to drink. The only game you would play is something like Power Hour. Power Hour is a really complicated drinking game for the complicated man or woman. Simple. If it's 8 o'clock, the game lasts till 9 o'clock. You just look at a clock, maybe set an alarm. Every time the minute changes, you take a drink. So you just take a drink every minute. Power Hour. I usually do it with gallons of heroin. I don't know why I suck my teeth so often on this podcast. I'm sorry to anybody that has to listen to that, but you know what? It can't be anywhere near as bad as Donald Trump the other day at the debate. Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. I brought up politics again. You know why? Because that shit was crazy. If you watch that debate, if you think the breath on Wax's podcast is bad, you should listen to that fucking shit. Where are we at as a nation? Where are we as a nation? Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Really just looking to answer the question of who is least rapey. We got rape talk. We got sexual assault talk. Really makes you think, like, with all the shit that Donald Trump has said, you know, people can say all they want about Donald Trump, but what does it say about Hillary Clinton that she's not fucking killing this dude? Any other candidate does not have the amount of skeletons in their closet that can be brought out. Such a perfect timing for the skeletons to be brought out, right? Halloween. The election's always right around Halloween, so all the skeletons can come right out of that closet to be discussed. And damn, I didn't even realize Hillary had so many. She really is that, like, she really is like this whole thing that Americans are talking about where they're like, we just don't want the same old, the political elite. Say what you will about people thinking that, but if you do have any thoughts of that, Hillary Clinton really is kind of like the ideal, not ideal, what's the word I'm looking for? She's the exact example of that. I mean, her fucking husband was the president. What does that say already? Like, in order to be the first female president, your husband had to have already been the president? There's not many options then. There's only like 5 women that can be the president if that's a fucking prerequisite. What is this, a monarchy? More like a malarkey, am I right? But yeah, she really has been in power, rubbed elbows with the elites, the Wall Street elites and the banker types. She really did have a husband who was cheated on her, accused of many bad things. Still with him. Bill Clinton. That rhymes. Bill Clinton. I'm still with him. Bill Clinton rhymes with still pimping. That's funny. Then you got Donald Trump. He's exactly what Americans want to be. He is the representation of the new American dream. He's the fat cat that only cares about himself. He acts like he cares about you, but you fucking idiots out there that think he cares about you are fucking dumb. I don't care. You can support him or whatever, but if you think he cares about you, if you think he has empathy, if you think he cares about things other than himself, if you think he's doing this for you to make America great again, you tripping. He's doing it because he wants to win. There's people out there like that. There's a lot of people that have this mentality. I know many. And a lot of times they do. They're the people that are always in politics and the people that run businesses because they're the people with the kind of ambition and drive to get to those positions. People like me. People that are in the Peace Corps. People that might become teachers. Ask them if they want to be the president. Nope. Worst job in the world. It sounds terrible. Too much work, too much headache, too much stress. If you're willing to endure that much stress, there's something wrong with you. And it's not, in Donald Trump's case, it's not the thing that's wrong with him that makes him want to rule the world is not his feelings and emotions and how bad he thinks a lot of the struggling Americans have it. You think that's what motivated him, you fucking morons? If you think that, and if you think that he is a fucking born-again Christian, as people on my Facebook feed seem to think, they think he's really a born-again Christian. He found God recently, and he prays every night. Somebody said that on my Facebook, that Donald Trump has changed, and now he's a man of prayer. He goes every night when he's on his fucking plane that has his name written in gold on the side of it, as he drinks smoothies made of human baby hearts before he downs the final drop of blood and platelets. He kneels down on his knees and says, Jesus, I believe in everything that was written about you in the Bible, by you and about you. That's all I believe because I've recently changed. You know, me being in this position of power where I go across the country and everybody chants my name, it just really made me be just like you. Because, Donald Trump and Jesus are exactly the same. They're not complete, literal polar opposites. So, at the end of the day, if you want to tell me that, dude, whatever. This shit's crazy. I just can't believe it. I can't believe that that's where we are. I can't believe that I still care. Because like I've said in previous podcasts, really the real solution, this is the real solution for anybody out there that's, if you're an American or not an American, but this is specifically addressed, the following is specifically addressed to Americans. If you're frustrated with where this is all headed, if you think this is ridiculous, there's one answer. The easiest thing, just turn off the fucking television. Just don't click on the links. And your life goes on like that. That's what's kind of mind-blowing to me. You know what's mind-blowing to me about the political shit? Somehow Fox News and Donald Trump and all the Republicans and all the people on my Facebook seem to think that the last 8 years we've been living in complete hell. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe I have a relatively positive outlook on life, which honestly is definitely not the case. I'm way less cheery than most. Maybe I've had some good things happen to me in the past 8 years. That's definitely true. I've had a lot of good things happen to me in the past 8 years. But the picture that's painted as like the past 8 years under Obama has been this fucking, we've been just living in hell. Everything's falling apart. Really? Is that the case? Because a couple bad things happened that were unpreventable by him. Somebody went crazy in Orlando and San Bernardino, which, by the way, was the result of one crazy person, just like the Columbine thing, in my opinion, especially the Orlando one, some fucking gay guy. Was he a real Muslim if he was gay? No? He was probably just using that shit as an excuse. I don't think that's a terrorist attack. If it is, well, it is, but then you got to consider all school shootings a terrorist attack, in my opinion. Is that something Obama could have stopped? Also, if you add up all the people that died in that, add up all the people that died in San Bernardino, you're like 30 times more likely to drown in a pool. Why is Donald Trump not talking about backyard pool safety? That's my question to you. They make you scared of stuff. Stuff that you shouldn't be scared of. The odds of you getting shot in the Orlando and San Bernardino things are so fucking small. So fucking small. There's way more shit that you could die of. And like the number 1 and number 2 are smoking cigarettes and eating shitty food from McDonald's. Heart disease. So, let me get off my high horse, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I just drank too much coffee. I can already kind of feel it wearing off. I can feel it wearing off like Cinderella approaching midnight. Except her glass slippers were about to disappear and her pumpkin-shaped coach was about to turn back into a pumpkin. And for me, I'm just going to go to sleep. That's the difference between me and Cinderella, in case you were wondering. You know what? I did have I had a stand-up show last week that went really well. I did some stand-up comedy. And my plan for next year after the tour is to really get busy with setting up a show, man. I'm trying to do some stand-up combined with music and just fucking make an amazing, yes, I said it in reference to myself, amazing hour-long stand-up / music special that touches on topics that will interest you and your family. That's my goal for next year. That's one of them. And to make more music, of course, as I like to do. Just made a beat this morning. Or actually made it, just kind of bounced it this morning. I kind of made it last week. Whenever the fuck I made it. Check it out on my Instagram. It's about clowns. There's some kind of phenomenon about clowns going on. Somebody told me to do something with clowns, and I ended up doing it, making a beat out of Tears of a Clown, which is one of the best songs of all time, by the way. Smokey Robinson is probably, as far as, you know, there's way too many people there's too many musicians out there that have recorded at some time since recorded music has been a thing, to ever call somebody the greatest at anything. That's a position I hold, if you want to know more about my opinions on things. I think when somebody says, who's the greatest blah, blah, blah of all time, especially when referring to music, I think it's stupid. The greatest guitar player of all time is probably some dude you never heard of. The greatest songwriter of all time, I mean, who knows? But when you say, if you're going to say my favorite, that kind of means my favorite out of all the ones that I've heard. And out of all the ones that I've heard, out of all the popular songwriters I've heard, Smokey Robinson is up there. He writes some good fucking lyrics. Tears of a Clown being a great one. A lot of good Tears lyrics. Trail of My Tears. Tracks of My Tears, rather. My bad. Trail of Tears was like a something you learn about in history class in the States, where it was the Native Americans. I can't remember. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it was, not because I don't know, because I think that you should go learn for yourself. Anyway, let's get to questions and shoutouts, shall we? take a good look at my face and do the shout-outs for the podcast. Okay. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. I think that after today's podcast, I might actually lose my voice. I might have fucked up. I might have fucked up by yelling and screaming today on the podcast because, like I said, later I'm shooting an episode of Chain Reaction, and I'll probably end up losing my voice, and I'll be saying things such as, "Yeah, we're here today at McDonald's." Let's just do this. Let's just do the questions and shout-outs. Let's stop trying to make a little bit out of everything when you speak. I don't know if I mentioned it on last week's podcast, but ever since I started doing it started when I started doing podcasts. It probably started earlier than that in life, but I started doing podcasts. Then I started doing comedy. Now I think I'm professional funny man, and every time I'm in a fucking conversation, I feel like I don't pay enough attention to what the person I'm talking to is saying because I'm too busy thinking about the words individually they're saying and trying to come up with funny things to say in response. I'm too busy thinking about what can I say in response to really listen to what people are saying, especially when it comes to thinking of puns. No matter what somebody says, I'm like, how can I turn what they just said into a pun? You know, if somebody's like, man, I'm really depressed today because blah, blah, blah happened to me. I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. You really? Are you putting press? I don't fucking know. That didn't make any sense, but you can hear the coffee wearing off. My brain is slowing down. If you picture the inside of my brain like one of those things where there's a bunch of rats and hamsters running on wheels and that's how it operates, they're slowing down. They're getting tired. They're going from sprint to jog. Now they're going from jog to trot, if that's actually what... Is a trot faster than a jog? Let's say it's slower. Now they're going from trot to speed walk. Now they're slowing down that speed walk to just a regular walk. Now that regular walk is just becoming a walk in the park. Now they're visualizing that park. They're visualizing a happy little Bob Ross-esque tree by which they can sit. Now they're getting down, and that slow walk in the park is becoming nothing more than a crawl. That crawl is slowing and slowing and slowing to a halt, and he's putting his little rat and hamster arms under his head, making a nice little pillow with his arms. As he lays down next to that tree and looks up at the sun, he says, you know what, I'm just gonna sit here and think about my past when I was a smaller rodent. Think about my future, see if I have a litter full of kids. Oh, my eyes shut a little bit there. But I'm still awake. Looking at the sky. Oh, no. Oh, what was that? I think I started dreaming about cheese. Oh, but I'm still shout-outs. We got Austin P, who recommends the Yeah Dude, UHH space YEA space DUDE podcast. I have not heard that podcast. For all I know, that's a fucking neo-Nazi podcast about murdering children. So I can't tell you that it's good. I can't tell you that it's bad. It could be the worst thing I've ever heard. It could be the best thing that I would ever hear that would change my life in such a positive way that I would be forever in debt to Austin P, who recommended them just now. But that said, I have no fucking idea. But according to Austin P, who is an avid emailer of the podcast, I know I've shouted him out before, he recommends the Yeah Dude podcast. So, you know, if Austin P jumped off a bridge, would you? Huh? Anywho, Next on the shout-out list, we got Sophia M. M is in Michael. Not saying her last name is Michael. I'm just saying that it's an M, not an N. We got Diana P. 2 women in a row here on the Wax's podcast. That sent the blood rushing right to my penis. Just kidding, y'all. Just kidding. That wasn't, I just, sometimes my language gets off the rails. Sometimes my blood gets to a boil as well. Maybe all the blood that was in my brain from the Starbucks, as it leaks down and slows down, where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? It's drizzling down like hot fudge onto your fucking pink berry, onto your yogurt land. Drizzling down like that caramel and hot fudge right onto that frozen yogurt, cookies and cream, which is your brain. But below that cookies and cream, there's more. There's more frozen yogurt, which is the pralines and pecan-flavored frozen yogurt that is your neck. But underneath of that, you had the coffee-flavored yogurt, which is your stomach. And you know what's under that? Your penis. And that's where the blood goes. What the fuck am I talking about? Ghost in the Pines. 3 females in a row. Ghost in the Pines is also a female. That's the trifecta. That's a turkey. That's a turkey, like when you go bowling and you have 3 strikes in a row and that little turkey pops up on the screen. We got the Wax's podcast, turkey of females. Ghost in the Pines, huge congratulations to Ghost in the Pines. She now owns her own restaurant. She owns her own restaurant and is super excited about it. The restaurant is in Texas. It's called the Texas Roadhouse. If I remember correctly, I might have fucked that up. Probably should have wrote it down. But congratulations very much to you. Avid listener, longtime fan. I really appreciate your support. We got a shout out to Isaac J. We got Evan H, who recommends Pat the Bunny. Oh, wait. Yeah. You sent an example, which was really cool. It was kind of like a punk country kind of song by Pat the Bunny. Sounded like just like a little bit of like a mixture of like later punk, like early 2000s punk with a little bit of outlaw country. Then we got Spencer B, or I could be thinking of something totally else that I listen to, and Pat the Bunny is actually an actual rabbit that's your friend. Spencer B. We got Cash with a K, which, by the way, is jump-a-da-boom-ba-da-dee today. We got Cash with a K, which is short for Kashif. Kashif is Pakistani. Kashif. There's so many weedish things about your name, Kashif. First of all, it rhymes with hashish, Kashif. Second of all, it kind of sounds like Kush. I get Kush and Kush. I have a friend named Kush. I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before. And Kush is short for, I think it's a Kushamir. I can't remember. I feel like an asshole, but Kush is Indian. His name is a shortened name, kind of like yours. But he doesn't like when people call him Kush because his name is spelled like Kush. So for a while when I first met him, I always had to think, like I had to be, what is it? What is it? Kush. He's Kush. Kush is weed. He's Kush. So now when I see the word Kush for weed, I always say Kush, and I sound like a fucking total weed noob. Sound like a fucking cop. Sound like a fucking narc. But Cash just bought 5 tickets for my show in Chicago, which is on, I can't remember what date off the top of my head, but it's sometime in either December or November. Why don't I just fucking look at my own website? And I got to put up more of these tour days. It's missing a few. I know that the South Dakota one's not on there. I don't even know if the Chicago one is listed yet. Oh, yeah, it is. Chicago, it's Subterranean on November 26th. Come on, y'all. Come out to these shows, man. I know you ain't got shit to do. I know y'all motherfuckers ain't got nothing else to do but come to these shows. It's going to be fun. Going to have a good time. So thanks, Cash. We got Big D. Shout out to Big D up in Canada. We got Ryota the Floater. West from Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of directions in that name. But that doesn't mean I'm telling you what to do. Frank H. Frank H. We got Sonny P from Essex, UK. Austin the Awesome. And last but not least, we got Ryan M, the songwriter. Ryan M, the songwriter. Been around on the podcast for a long time. I think I played Ryan's jingle last week. Did I? Recently I did. If not, maybe I'll play it next week. Let's go on to the questions, shall we? Hey, Wax, what's up, bro? It's Trevor from Winchester, Virginia. Yo, I'm just sitting here on my day off having a nice cold brew and listening to some Scrub Life. That's awesome, man. Just heard a meaningful verse in the song Red, which really motivated me to email you. I also listened to the podcast at work, and it's a great escape. Thanks for doing it. I also battle with my demons, mainly alcohol and marijuana, and your music is a nice escape for me because I can relate. I just wanted to say, don't feel like you shouldn't over-talk about your alcohol problem on the podcast because it really does help others that are going through the same thing like myself. Was just listening to the song Red, and your lyric, "The future's wide open," a fact that combats any suicidal notion, really hit home, and I just want to say that's one of your most meaningful lines to me. I don't have a question, but hope to hear you read this. LOL. Anyway, bro, thanks for the new music. The First Love video is pretty fucking hilarious. Trevor B. Thank you, Trevor B. from Winchester. I appreciate the email, man. I guess you don't really have a question, but yeah, I guess I was worried that, the thing with me having a alcohol thing, I don't like to call it a problem. Alcohol problem, because I guess I do have an alcohol problem. I don't know. I mean, I quit. Today's like day 31 or 32. Yeah, is that what it is? 20. I don't know. I think I might be off. Oh, wait, it's Thursday. Yeah. So 20. Yeah, I think today's day 32 since I've drank or smoked cigarettes. Which is pretty amazing, actually. But I don't like to call it a problem, even though it clearly is a problem, because every day I want to drink. Every day I think about it. And partially that's just a brain trick. Like, say, for example, like I hardly ever eat chocolate. I mean, that's changed since I quit drinking. The sugar thing is weird. Like when you stop giving your body a bunch of carbs in the form of beer, you start craving milkshakes and chocolate and shit. That's probably why I mentioned frozen yogurt earlier and hot fudge and caramel, because I've done that a few times recently. But, if I told myself I'm not eating chocolate for a month, maybe every day I would think like, oh, I wish I could have some chocolate. But I probably wouldn't. Because I don't eat chocolate like that, and I do drink like that. I don't know, man. I don't like to say that I have a problem, because there's people with way worse of a problem. There's people that have a problem. Like I could go back to drinking right now, and my life wouldn't be fucked up. I say that, but it probably would end up being fucked up. But anyway, point being is I know that 10% of Americans, I don't know what the worldwide rate is, but 10% of Americans have an issue with alcohol. It's a pretty large amount if you think about it. But still, 1 out of 10 people, like I don't like to talk about stuff on this podcast that I feel like not everybody can relate to. Not extensively, you know what I mean? But I'm sure I fucking do all the time. Anyway, interesting fact about alcohol, by the way, which I probably mentioned before, but I found out that this is just in the States. 90% of the alcohol that's purchased in the United States is purchased by the 10% of people in America who are problem drinkers. If you think about that, it makes a lot of sense. Like, say an average drinker, when they purchase alcohol, say they have 2 drinks on a Friday and 4 on a Saturday. Nice little weekend for a regular person. That's 6. So that means somebody with a problem would have 6 every night, I don't know if that'd be if there was 10 days in a week. But some shit like that. I don't know. The people that have real drinking problems probably do drink 10 times more often than the average person, because think about it, like I just mentioned somebody has 6 drinks a week. Half of America probably doesn't even drink at all. I don't know. I don't know what the number for that is. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of people that just don't drink. But you know, when you watch those commercials that we all see, Bud Light and Coors Light, when you watch it, and it just looks like everybody's having fun, having a great time. Always remember, 90% of that shit that's being sold is being sold to somebody who has a problem, not somebody who's necessarily, you know, even people with a quote unquote problem, they might be enjoying it. I don't fucking know, but you get the point. Without alcoholics, there would be no alcohol industry. It's interesting to me. Something you don't think about. Hey Wax, thanks Trevor. Hey Wax, got a suggestion for the podcast. My dad wrote a porno. Just what the title suggests. Some guy's dad wrote a porno, so he and two friends decided to make it into a podcast worth checking out. Oh, that's a suggestion. There is a podcast that exists called My Dad Wrote a Porno. So, okay. Like I was saying about Austin P earlier, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. Maybe the porno was about mutilating all your family members. I have no fucking idea. Maybe it was about, you know, it's a good idea? Fucking being evil. Maybe that's the thesis statement of the podcast. I have no idea, but this person, whose name is Wheel, Wheel, I think it was Will, and they put themselves as Wheel. I don't know, but they recommend that podcast. Also wanted to say thank you, actually. You introduced me to podcasts as a genre, and I found loads of news stuff, which I listened to while doing random shit. Recently had a job interview and used a lot of stuff I learnt in podcasts to, I think, impress my interview and got the job. So thanks, you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have started listening and learning whilst doing things. Peace and love, Wax. Much respect for you and what you're going through. I appreciate that, Wheel. So what Wheel is saying, and I don't remember who did this for me. I don't remember who it, because I remember when I first started hearing the word podcast, I didn't really fucking know what it meant. But there was at some point, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe longer than that, because I started doing this 4 years ago. I learned what podcasts were, and it's essentially like talk radio, right? It's essentially talk radio, but talk radio is usually not as open as far as what you can talk about, and B, maybe not as specialized. Like if you're gonna be on the radio, there's only so niche you can be, right? You can't have a whole hour on the radio talking about candle making, can you? I don't know. Maybe on NPR you could. But, yeah. So that's dope. I introduced you to podcasts. Hopefully that improved your life. And according to the words that you wrote, apparently it did. So, you know, some of us are out here making a difference. Some of us are out here fucking up. You can be the judge of which one I am. Feel free. Feel free to judge me. All right. This is Charlie O.C. from the UK. He says, hey, Mike. Thanks again for the last read on the podcast, and I've been listening to some more recently on my travels to and fro, and they've started me thinking, but as to not bore anyone, I cut the questions down to 3. All right, well, you got 3 questions, and they're listed in a very well-organized list, so instead of reading them all and then answering them, I'm just going to read one, then answer it, then read another one, then read another one, and answer it. Number 1. Can you please explain the American school system? In the UK, it's primary school, then secondary school, then sixth form / college, then university. Guess what? I don't understand what the fuck any of that means. I'm assuming primary school is like elementary school. Secondary school is probably like what we consider middle school. Sixth form / college must be like being a senior in high school, I don't know. And then university, what you consider university, I know that we call just college. Most other people say university. I'm going to university. We just call that college. But when you go to college, you're at a university or a college. Either way works. Oh, look at this. What do you want? Huh? Yeah, I seen it. I'm here. I got a visitor in the room. What's your name?
Mash.
What? Your name is Mash?
Mashed potatoes.
Like mashed potatoes. Is that what your mom named you or what?
No,
because she was fucking undecided on whether you're a girl or boy.
Something like that. Yeah.
I got a. If you guys confused about why all of a sudden the podcast has been interrupted by a fucking female Borat voice, we got Or Mash in the building.
Hey, oh.
What do you do for a living? Are you a comedian or something?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am a comedian.
Why don't you tell him a joke?
Oh, no.
Tell a joke. You're on Wax's podcast. Tell one joke.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm not one of those jokes comedians, you know. I'm one of those.
Well, tell a fact about yourself that's interesting or something. Say anything. What are you thinking about?
I masturbate 15 times a day.
Wow.
Isn't that? I brought that from Israel, you know.
15 times?
I want that my peak was 15 times. I think I was like 17 at the time, you know.
What's the reason for you masturbating so often? Is it because is it like a, or is Israeli, by the way? Maybe that's like a tribute of some sort to the Israelis who previously weren't able to masturbate?
Something like that, you know. Thinking about Palestinians and stuff, you know.
Yesterday was Yom Kippur.
I fasted.
Did you masturbate?
No, you can't do that. But
Did you fasturbate?
the thing is, so in Yom Kippur, you have to like fast and, you know, think about all your sins and stuff. And it was weird because like I thought about my sins just made me horny.
What kind of sins? Oh, those kind of sins.
You know, you have to think, and you know, you're supposed to regret your sins, but my sins are beautiful. I think most of, you know.
You're so deep.
Yeah, I feel deep.
You feel deep. That's what you do when you masturbate, don't you?
I woke up deep, you know. I woke up deep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mash walking in the room to get her phone. Walking in the room to get her phone while she's drinking coffee. But what the fuck was I talking? Oh yeah, the school system. What you call university, we just call college. But you do it at a university or at a college. Those are kind of the same thing. There's a different. I think in the United States, college is like a small school. You'd be like, this is Tim's college. But if it's like the University of New York, it's more like a university. I don't fucking know. For us, it's elementary school, which is kindergarten through 5th grade or 6th grade, which is like when you're 5 years old till when you're 10 years old. Then we have what's called middle school, which is also in some places called junior high, which is either like 6th grade through 8th grade or anywhere 5th grade through 9th grade. And then we have what's called high school, which is often portrayed in our movies. Our Hollywood movies often portray high school. There's lockers. There's the jocks and the football team who are popular along with the cheerleaders. And then, of course, there's the nerds who often get revenge in the 80s. And then you go to college, which is also portrayed. Well, actually, that's a bad reference because Revenge of the Nerds was actually a movie about college. Alpha, you got to go outside? Can you let him outside, Jonathan? Can you let him outside? I think he's got to pee. We're watching a dog. We're dog sitting right now. Got a lot of guests, a lot of accidental guests on Wax's podcast today. Or Mash, the dog, Alpha that we're dog sitting, and my new roommate, Jonathan. I don't know if I mentioned him on the podcast, but got a new roommate. 22-year-old guitar prodigy. Got 3 Israelis living with me now. 3 of them. Surrounded by fucking Jews from the Holy Land. Exactly. You know what I think about that? I'm not happy about it. I try to practice my Christian faith, and they step on my Bibles. Yes, I am. No, it's fun. A lot of hummus. A lot of hummus and tahini. You know what I mean? They see that, and she's still talking shit, but she doesn't have a microphone, so nobody that's listening can hear anything she's saying. That's the genius of having a microphone. The other person can't be heard. Where am I at? Okay, question number 2. How do you define yourself? Can you shut that? Oh, that's coming from outside. Sorry. Or is really soft on her feet. She's a little one. So I turned around to yell to her to shut the door because I thought the door was making the noise, and then she's fucking right behind me. She's sneaky as Jews are. Yo, man, you know what's funny is living when you live with somebody, you start to take a little bit too much liberty, especially when you're all kind of comedians. Like you kind of start to take too much liberty as to how much shit you can talk. You know, like if you lived with black people, like if you for a year lived with 3 black people, you might make a black joke at the wrong place because you're used to being friends with people. You know, right now I live with 3 Jews. I might say something about Jews just fucking around. But if there was somebody else here, they might think I was serious or something, you know? Nobody can hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm like working here, or doesn't work. Or doesn't know what it's like to work. Typical Jew. Hear that laugh? Just kidding about the Jew thing. Whatever happened to Carla, the stay-at-home mom? I don't know. I think Carla stopped emailing me around episode 30 or 40. I don't know what happened to that. That's a good question. I appreciate that, Charlie OC. How you define yourself other than being a rapper, if you define yourself as a rapper at all? I see myself as a badass motorcycle riding law student. Well, you seem pretty badass. A badass motorcycle riding law student. That's pretty crazy, man. You're any girl's dream. And you're from the UK? You have that accent, you ride motorcycles, you're a badass, and you're fucking gonna be a lawyer? Jesus Christ, you must have to beat him off with a stick. Wait. Beat him off. Puns. Pun. Big pun over here. Anyway, I got thrown off by now I'm thinking I'm saying too much anti-Jew shit just because I'm talking shit to my friend Orr here. Yeah, how do I find myself? I don't really define myself at all. I define myself as a musician. If somebody says, "What do you do for a living?" I say I'm a musician. So I guess that's how I define myself. Anywho, thanks Charlie OC for all the questions. I appreciate it very much, and I appreciate you listening, as do I appreciate everybody else that's listening to this right now. And I got one more question, and this one is from Connor. Connor, classic modern white name, such as Dylan, Tyler. Hey, Connor, man, where's Dylan and Tyler? Are they hanging out with Caden? Hey, what's up, Wax? First, I just want to say thanks for all the music over the years. Been listening to you and Herbal Tea since back when I found you with 4 videos up on your YouTube. Wow, well, I appreciate that, man. I haven't been feeling most rap the last 10 years or so, and you kind of saved my interest in the genre and helped me find a lot of good shit that's still around. I really appreciate it, man. I've been messing around with writing some sketch comedy shorts. Assuming I can get a group together to shoot, then I'm going to want to find an audience. You seem to have had a ton of success finding an audience online, and I wanted to see if you had any pointers. Hope everything is good by you. Gonna try to hit up your show in Amityville. Ah, Amityville. Yet another place that I'm playing at on the tour. I think the name of that venue is the Amityville Music Hall, and that is on December 9th. December 9th at Amityville Music Hall. So anybody in that part of New York, please come to the show. I think it's a pretty big fucking venue, so it'd be cool if some people came through. Every show, I'll be meeting people afterwards, hanging out at the merch table, trying to get you to buy stuff, signing stuff, giving handshakes, giving fives, giving hugs, signing boobs, whatever you want me to do. Well, not whatever you want me to do. I have my limits. I have limits on things that I'll do. But where was your question? Oh, okay. Getting an audience on the internet. You know, everything's changing. The internet is fluid. It changes like the tides of the ocean. But you know, I think the most important thing to do is to have quality content. If your content is good, it's going to be a lot easier for people to find it because their friends are going to be excited to share it. You know, if you have something that makes people say, "Man, I need to show my friend Dylan about this," Dylan might end up showing it to Tyler, and Tyler might end up showing it to Scott. So yeah, and then I guess it doesn't hurt to do collaborations with other people that may already have an audience. I've seen that be really helpful to people. I've seen it with myself. I didn't put enough effort into doing that, I think. I know that a lot of people that come up to me when they come to a show, they'll be like, I found out about you through X. X could equal Ray William Johnson. X could equal what's it called? Faction Radio. X could equal Dumbfounded. Like, there's all these other people that people find you through. So that just goes to show you collaboration is really a key to getting your shit out there. And probably one of the reasons why I'm not as big as I am, because I fucking sit in my own little cave and dwell alone in my thoughts. And yeah, don't really reach out to other people because I'm not that type of guy. Anyway, I know that probably didn't help you at all, Connor. But tell Dylan and Tyler I said hi. And tell him I also said be safe out there.